Cardinals get a nice win without Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins on Sunday. They still aren't getting the love for Super Bowl and NFC futures, though, plus 1,000 and plus 500 respectively. So, Geoff, is it time to buy those futures on the Cardinals?
I mean, look, we've done this every week. Obviously, we talk about the hot team, the team that's underrated, the team that won that we think wasn't supposed to win in the NFC. 2 weeks ago it was the Packers beating the Cardinals. Like last month, it was the Cardinals beating the Rams, and then the Cardinals lost, right? But yeah, I think this is what you do, and this is how you should approach the odds in the NFC. You've got 4 or 5 teams here who just don't look like that. There's that much separation. I mean, the Cardinals beat the Rams, the Packers beat the Cardinals, and now the Cardinals have come back and when everyone counted them out with a backup quarterback, beat a division rival. So I think plus 1,000 for a Super Bowl for the Cardinals is fine. I would probably rather attack this team with the NFC conference, plus 500, just because I tend to think that's a bit of a better bet. But the NFC does look like the sort of stronger division right now. I would still prefer, and I've stuck with this theme all along, I would still prefer to bet the Packers at slightly bigger odds. This is just a veteran team who just seems to be going through the motions in the regular season. But that's a good thing because they know they've been there the last 2 years. They know where the big prize is, and that's later in the season. So I'm not necessarily out on the Cardinals. I'd probably rather take them over the Rams at plus 800. But the Packers, for me, is still the bet in the NFC. As long as they stay higher in the odds than the Cardinals, I'll take them over Arizona.
Kenny, you think there's some value here with these Cardinals odds?
Yeah, Geoff saying the NFC is sort of the better division. They are the clear better division. I mean, what team in the AFC do you trust right now? I don't trust any of them. I hate them all. And yes, I love the Arizona Cardinals to win the Super Bowl. I'll 100% take the bait on this. Look, you don't usually look back at last year's Super Bowl champion and say, okay, well, what team is most like them, right? But if you want to look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, they had one of the best defenses in football all season long. Their offense took a little bit of time to round out into form. They had some high points, some low points. They finished the season strong with an easy schedule. And what do we see in the postseason? They just dominated on the defensive side of the ball. Tom Brady really didn't have to do anything. He didn't have amazing games. He was Tom Brady. But look, I think that this is the scenario with the Arizona Cardinals. They bring in some veteran guys like that Buccaneers team did. And Zach Ertz has an impact already with the Cardinals. They have so much talent on the offensive side of the ball that it's easy to forget that they're second in defensive DVOA. They shut down the 49ers yesterday, a team that had looked really promising on the offensive end in weeks prior. So I think that this defense can lead the Cardinals as far as they want to go. And that's scary considering Kyler Murray, and it's not like he's going to be out long-term. It's not like he's dealing with the shoulder injury again. I think that he could get right back to being Kyler Murray in just a couple of weeks. And he has just an insane amount of weapons. They haven't even unlocked the potential of Rondale Moore. So I think that this Cardinals team is so exciting. And I absolutely think that these are probably the best odds you're going to find all season on the Cardinals. They're going to continue to go down.
All right, here's something exciting, Kenny. We're sticking with the Cardinals, okay? So Chase Edmonds leaves the game with an ankle injury. James Conner leads the NFL in DK fantasy points, 40.3. So, Kenny, does Conner become a good target at the running back spot if Edmonds can't go next week? He's 6,300 on the classic slate for Sunday.
Yeah, look, Chase Edmonds is a friend of mine, a Fordham Ram. I've always maintained that he is so freaking good at football, right? So it's with that said that I say James Conner has always been a great option in fantasy, right? I've been firing this guy up several times already this season. It's because he gets the football. Cliff Kingsbury has this distrust with Chase Edmonds for some reason, doesn't want to give him, 70, 80% of the snaps. Conner's been mixing in all season. They love to give him the ball around the goal line. And we saw what he could do last week or on Sunday, right? Out of the shotgun formation, getting the ball in those passing downs, getting the ball out of the backfield. I think that the Cardinals really, learned that they can use James Conner in any sort of scenario they want. He's a very talented running back. They've brought him in for a reason. And the bottom line is they have already trusted him with the football so much this season. So nothing's going to change. He's just going to, get all those Chase Edmonds points now. He could pretty much do all the same sort of stuff. So I think he's a fantastic option. I expect to be very chalky. But, I've been on this guy since week 1.
Geoff, you a big fan of James Conner here?
I mean, it's just a super annoying situation. If you're like me, you're pumping up Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds has been the superior running back. He's the better pass catcher. He's been the better yards per metric guy. But it doesn't matter because he hasn't gotten the red zone touches. Cliff Kingsbury does not give him the red zone touches. He likes the veteran in there to just grind out 3 or 4 yards per carry. And to Conner's credit, He's succeeded in that role. He's converted the touchdowns, and now his yards per carry metrics are actually getting a little bit better. So credit to James Conner. It stinks if you're a Chase Edmonds guy like me, but you kind of got to get on the boat here. The Cardinals are big favorites. They're going to run the ball, and especially with Kyler banged up, like Connor's red zone touches aren't going anywhere. So yeah, even at 6,300, he's a fine play.
All right, guys, we got to talk about the upset of the week. Bills go down to the Jags, held to just 6 points. Josh Allen had a mere 12.56 fantasy points. He got sacked, intercepted, everything by Josh Allen. It was Josh Allen versus Josh Allen. So how much does that concern you for Allen and the Bills' offensive potential moving forward this year? Like, did the Jags show a little bit of a blueprint to stop the Bills here, Geoff?
Okay, so first of all, I haven't heard from Emerson Latzia. I assume he's just still out partying. Maybe somebody could get me just a line on him to make sure he's okay. But I don't know about a blueprint to stop the Bills. I think the thing with the Bills is if Josh Allen plays like this, and I'm calling him quarterback Josh Allen, if he throws a couple picks, if he's inaccurate and he doesn't connect on the subject, like this team isn't going to win because this team doesn't run the ball. It's not that they can't run the ball. They can run the ball a little bit. Devin Singletary is actually quite a good running back, but they choose not to. I mean, they're sixth in terms of pass attempts per game. They've taken this high-flying offense, and they've chosen that's the way they're going to go. They're putting the ball in Josh Allen's hands every week. And when somebody on the other side, I mean, it can be named Josh Allen too, or someone else, another pass rusher, just disrupts him like this, the Bills' offense isn't going anywhere. So it's kind of a flashback to like the Bills' first 2 years with Josh Allen when, he just made some mistakes or they couldn't protect him well enough. But I don't know if it's a blueprint so much as just a 1 week blimp. I certainly wouldn't say that the Jaguars are laying out a blueprint to beat anyone. They just kind of had a really dominant performance by one of their pass rushers who again, it's an important position in the NFL. So it's something to worry about the Bills going forward because they don't run the ball much. And if Allen keeps playing like this, but it's too much to say that the Jags have laid out a blueprint, I think.
Yeah, I can confirm we have no idea where Emerson Latzia is. Kenny, what do you think? Is this just a little bit of an overreaction? Was this a little bit of a fluke here?
I mean, look, we've seen Frank Clark give Josh Allen problems before as well. I mean, a dominant pass rusher can give just about any quarterback in the league problems. But, I think that there was something to be said about how terribly this offensive line played. And, I talked to one of my good friends, Seth Walder from ESPN Stats and Info. He always makes the point that, just because, we don't have fantasy football, teams with offensive linemen on them, right? So we don't know that offensive linemen, they also have bad games every once in a while. They go through slumps. And this offensive line was terrible against the Jaguars, which is surprising because 4 of their 5 starters were. They just had 1 starter out. It was a rookie right tackle. And then a second round pick from last year came in and replaced him. I don't know what's going on, but I mean, I think the bottom line here is this offensive line just can't play like that. You need to give Josh Allen time, clearly, because as Geoff mentioned, first 2 years under Josh Allen, he didn't have that time. He, reverted into being Sam Darnold, basically, which is why they drew so many comparisons and they were friends and worked out together. And then Josh Allen was too cool for him. But, that's what happens, right? You give your quarterback time. You have a great arm on him, and he's able to develop a deep ball. He's able to develop accuracy. Josh Allen's inaccuracy plagued him in the first couple of years of his career. So if the offensive line's not going to protect him, first of all, they're not going to run the football, as Geoff also said. They're not going to have much success at all. So this offensive line has to step up in a big way. I know you wanted me to just trash Josh Allen, and I was smiling. I was so happy that he didn't have a good game. But it really wasn't his fault. I mean, he could have played a ton better, but he also didn't know time to throw the football, and I think that's the biggest thing.
All right, Packers-Chiefs game. Jordan Love not up to the task, but Rodgers could be back next week, so the Packers futures remain pretty much the same despite the loss. Chiefs futures also still similar to last week, Super Bowl plus 1,200, Conference plus 650. But after winning by just 6 against the Packers without Rodgers, are you a little lower on the Chiefs than last week despite them getting that W, Kenny?
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. I mean, you said it. The last 2 weeks, 2 Ws for the Chiefs, and I continue to get less and less confident in this team. I mean, look, here's the thing. Patrick Mahomes, I mean, we've talked about how the Chiefs have lacked the big plays, right? And they haven't gotten those chunk plays that they got last year, which were the reason why they were able to strike so quick. He's just missing the throws. He has Tyreek Hill open downfield. He gets past his man. He just misses him. These are not throws that Patrick Mahomes was missing during his NFL career. So this is, I think, a big spot for concern. They barely sneak by the Packers. And look, I think that we could also say, right, the Packers played incredibly well on the defensive end. I think that's been a huge improvement for them over the last couple of years, getting rid of Mike Pettin. And now, really they've established themselves on that end. I think that, they're a team to be reckoned with, but come on, man. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was unable to score on the Giants defense, which was atrocious. So I have real concerns here. This team's just playing with, no sense of urgency. They're unable to run the ball now. I mean, Darrell Williams was shut down yesterday on a few big plays, and that's a big, that's a result of having a terrible passing game. So there's a ton of offensive problems here for the Chiefs. And we talked all season about how this defense was real bad. This offense, it might be just as bad. It is terrible, and it needs to turn things around quick.
Geoff, the Chiefs have managed to get the W, but are you still feeling a little blah on them?
So I really want to get to the last question about the Titans, so I'm just going to make this quick. I really don't have much interest in the Chiefs here. I think they could come up with maybe a shock playoff win or something. I would rather bet the Patriots at plus 1,600 to win the AFC conference right now than the Chiefs at plus 650. So there's my hot take for this segment.
All right, we'll go through this one quick so we can get to Geoff's question. Sticking in the AFC West, Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs get wins. Raiders fall to the Giants, so each team with 5 wins. And we're only separated by half a game for all 4 teams. So Chargers plus 130, Chiefs plus 160, Raiders plus 550, Broncos plus 700 to win the division. Geoff, where are you leaning right now for that future?
Woof. I mean, I don't want to take any of these teams. They're just so up and down every week. I would say that if you're betting this division, it's best to go to the back of the pack. I don't really want to go to the Raiders, but I think the Broncos at plus 700. They turned it around last week a little bit, came up with a shock win. Denver's a really hard place to play in the winter. Again, the Chargers and Chiefs, very up and down. I think I'm either going to the Chargers at plus 130 or the Broncos. I just don't have any trust in the Raiders or the Chiefs.
Kenny, where are you leaning?
I hate all these teams as well, just like Geoff. I don't want to take this, but I agree that you want to take the value here, and that is probably the Raiders. I think at plus 550, I don't trust this Denver Broncos defense. I don't think it's very good now, especially Von Miller's gone. This Las Vegas Raiders defense is probably the best defense in the division, and I think that, they have a lot to prove here. I think that they have some talent on the offensive end, so I think that it could happen for the Raiders.
All right, it's finally Geoff time. Titans with a big win over the Rams last night. They're in a similar spot as the Cardinals. They keep getting big wins, but the odds still show pretty good value. So, Geoff, what else do the Titans need to show to be the favorite in the AFC? I mean, I know they're your favorite.
I don't think the Titans will ever become the favorites in the AFC, and that's what makes them such a good bet. This team just continually gets doubted by people like Pierce Dietrich, who refused to be on the show today because he didn't want to show his face after he told me the Titans were a bad team for like the 10th time last week. The Titans are still, they're plus 450 compared to the Bears plus 250. They've beaten the Bills. Now they've beaten the Rams. 2 of the darlings of the NFL media. The Titans did exactly what I said they do. They ran play action. Ryan Tannehill ran a little bit around the goal line. This defense stepped up a little bit. They're not a bad team. They're very opportunistic. Plus 450. And the thing is, they've got their division sewn up too. So they can kind of just get Adrian Peterson back in shape, not do too much. Their odds have dipped a little bit where I don't think they're the supreme value play they were last week at like plus 800 or plus 1,000 a couple weeks ago. But still, who are you taking over them? Maybe the Ravens. I could see that argument, but the Ravens are a pretty flawed team as well, as we saw last week against Minnesota. I think the Titans are still the bet in the AFC, even at plus 450. Until this team becomes a favorite, I'll stay on that note.
Kenny, what's your take?
I mean, yeah, honestly, I'm holding out hope that the Jets can turn things around and maybe make a push to the top of the AFC because this thing's wide open. Any team can win the AFC. I think the Titans just need to show consistency on the defensive side of the ball, right? I think that's what we saw against the Rams. This is a good offense, a very talented offense. Early on in the season, the favorite to be the best offense in the league. Titans defense shut him down and, got to Matt Stafford, who, again, was a popular MVP pick at the beginning of the season. The defense was the story to me. I have always known that the Titans can throw the football, as Geoff has always known that as well. So losing Derrick Henry here, I mean, he's one of the best, players in the league. But, I don't think that it really changes my opinion that much of the Titans. I still think they can get it done throwing the football. Ryan Tannehill proved himself in the postseason last year, in the playoffs, a couple of seasons, really. He's good. And I think we have to face that fact. The Titans are a good football team, as much as Pierce Dietrich doesn't want to say so. And now that the defense maybe is showing a pulse here for Mike Vrabel, I'm even more encouraged here. I really do like the Titans. I just need to see it again, and maybe again one more time from the defense before I can anoint them as one of the favorites in the AFC.